after the First World War, and I think especially the Second World War, the food industry started to change because they were trying to figure out how do you increase shelf life, one for the troops who were deployed overseas, but two for the families who were left back in the countries and didn't have the same access to be able to prepare food, as I understand it, as they did because of the war around them, especially in Europe. But this is when we started to get into all the preservatives that are in modern food today and things to really change the entire taste profile and add all kinds of artificial things to them. Is that a correct way to think about it?
Yeah, it's a key mechanism. What also changed, there was a lot of NPK left over after the war. NPK was for munitions. And the average person doesn't know that. Well, what does NPK do? It blocks the uptake of copper. And the root system of the plants can't find the copper. And that was right after the First World War. And as you noted, refining of food started to take off. They started adding a lot of sugar to the food. One of the most heavily used chemicals in the food system today are what are tyrosinase inhibitors. Have you ever even heard of them? Most people haven't. And so why would I be concerned about tyrosinase? Well, tyrosinase is critical for the formation of melanin. Well, why is melanin important? Because all the colors from yellow to black inside your body require melanin. So the whole process of coloring the human body, the organs have color because the organs have frequency. And that frequency is color driven. An example is the spleen is supposed to be the color of an eggplant. I had a surgeon tell me, Morley, I've never seen a purple spleen. I'm like, what? And he said, it's a different world out there. So we don't think about color as a sign of metabolic integrity, but it is. And if the color is off, the complex inside the mitochondria, which is where the action is, complex 4, is where oxygen gets turned into 2 molecules of water. So it turns out that the heme that are holding the oxygen, heme A and heme A3, is basically a stove. And the stove holds the oxygen so that the copper enzyme can slice and dice the oxygen, add 4 electrons, add 4 hydrogen protons to turn it into 2 molecules of water. I think that's amazing. I think, to me, it's the most important chemical transaction on the planet. And that complex is sky blue. Why is it sky blue? Because blue attracts red light, and red light is critical for that transformational process that takes place. And to me, I'm almost reverential around this. Wow, the thought that went into the design of our body is very significant, but it's not taught. No one knows this. And if the colors aren't right, and the colors can't be right if they're using tyrosinase inhibitors, then there's a downstream effect in how we feel. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. And it's interesting. I spent some time earlier in my life living in Spain, and it was really interesting, the diet habits there compared to here, because most Spaniards that I knew had a very small pantry, if one at all. And we each had our local grocery store that had fresh fruits, fresh fish, and that's where everyone would go on a daily basis to get their food for that day. I bring this up because I have a European friend who was telling me that every time he comes to the United States, he ends up getting bloated and putting on weight. And then a few weeks later, once he goes home, it all ends up coming back. And I began thinking at first that he was just indulging himself when he was here, but I came to the realization that what it really is inflammation.
Absolutely inflammation. And so I've got clients who are full-blown celiac here in the States. They can go to Europe and eat that wheat, but they can't eat the wheat back here. So what's different about our wheat? Well, it's been sprayed with glyphosate 4 times. It's a desiccant. It dries out the wheat so they can accelerate the process. And it's been sprinkled with iron filings. And there's nothing good that's going to come from just those 2 things, plus all of the other fortifications. Yeah, you're right. The inflammation is the obvious dynamic. But what is inflammation? If a biochemist were part of this conversation, we asked them, how would you spell inflammation? They would spell it H2O2. Well, that's hydrogen peroxide. Well, H2O2 is not the same as 2H2O. And so what happens inside the mitochondria, the conversion of oxygen into water, it's a 2-step process. The downstroke creates hydrogen peroxide. There's an upstroke that's got to turn that hydrogen peroxide into the water. And if you're not copper replete, you can't make that upstroke, and you are going to have inflammation. And so what is inflammation? It's just defective energy production. It's basically what it is.